Hey, I am totally prepared today. I am totally not prepared today. Oh my god. See, here's the thing about a show that starts at noon on a certain day. That means when noon comes around, you're theoretically supposed to be ready. I'm totally not ready, but that's okay. We're just gonna have some fun today anyway. So we'll be getting started in just a little bit. Sorry, I actually have a full group. I had a bunch of people I wanted to join me on Wayfinder today. I had to turn 3 people down. Let me actually get in touch with people so that they don't think I'm ignoring them. All right. So, how unprepared am I? Well, I did roll up this character yesterday, so I have that going for me. I'm playing a warlock on Wayfinder, name of Kobold Killa, and it sounds like maybe we are going to run Tear of Deccan. Ooh, actually, that's not a terrible idea. Maybe we should do that. Hey, welcome. I actually, someone came up with a really brilliant and totally not obvious idea that I could make it a raid group and we could run Chronoscope. So I guess we're going to do that. Welcome, welcome. All right, let me officially get started here. Hello and welcome to the Weekly Wednesday Lunchtime Livestream. I am DDO Community Manager Cordovan. Thank you very much for joining us. We are live every Wednesday starting at noon Eastern, currently -4 GMT on twitch.tv/DDOstream. Don't forget to give us a follow if you'd like to be notified for when we're going live with shows just like this one. And you can find our entire schedule of events on twitch.tv/DDOstream. We'd love it if you joined us in chat. Besides doing a turbine point giveaway at the end of every show on Wednesdays, we also are here to take your Q&A. Ask away. If we can answer it, we will. We'll talk a little bit about what's going on in DDO news and have some fun running the Chronoscope on Wayfinder today. Nice. Titan's looking at a 3K or a 1K crit on Stricken. It's a nice deal. Let's see. What do we have going on in the world of DDO? We have got a patch that could be hitting as soon as tomorrow to update 26. We're going to have a meeting at around 3 o'clock today called the Green Light meeting, which is basically, hey, are we ready to do this? And if the answer is across the board, yep, then we're going to announce the downtime for tomorrow morning and get out a patch. And I'll actually go through some of those patch notes here, maybe in just a little bit. So, other thing I guess we could say we have going on is we have a bonus that's going to be kicking off a little bit later tomorrow. And that is going to be plus 30% Guild Renown. Quick note, the DDO store is offering a discount on all adventure packs. So if there's something that's a gap in your pack ownership, now might be a great weekend to check that out. And we do have some more storage that we added with Update 26 as well. You can go to ddo.com/DDOStoreNew, NEW, to find out what's going on. Otherwise, hey, we released Update 26 last week, so looking pretty good. And like I said, let me actually call up my still in the works release notes. Alright, let's see. Titan says, I've already been seeing the new, quote, Archon quest in the quest compendium. Are we supposed to be seeing this? Define supposed to. This certainly is not the first time that updated content has showed up title-wise in the adventure compendium. not that big a deal overall. Consider it a nice little teaser, especially since we're going live in July for Update 27 is still our plan. So yes, you are correct. You can find out the names of the new quests, unless they change before now in July. But the current names of the new quests in the Adventure Compendium. So that's a good. Yes, I did notice that you could create an LFM forum. It's kind of a no. So it's not intended. But it's fine, no one's dying here. If the names of the new quests show up, which actually I'm not high enough level to show them to you, otherwise I would do it right now. So obviously, Update 26 went out the door last week. We're working on a patch, really, a couple of days after it went out. Most of the patch work got done on Monday, Tuesday. So at this point, we've been full bore into Update 27 content and such for really a couple of weeks now. But there's some sort of peeling off of that to do, finishing up Update 26 work and patch work. But we are making progress on Update 27. Hopefully we'll get that to Lamania fairly soonish, and you can check that out. Mistwalker asks, with Update 27, will there be any new item sets implemented from the Shavaroth area? No. This is a new adventure pack, new raid, new content. We're not going back and adjusting the Tower Despair rings and set bonuses. So. Edward T asks, is there any chance that spell power is added to the epic power feat like melee power and ranged power in the near future? It's something we've been discussing. I don't think we have really anything to announce on that, but it's something that we have been discussing about ways to increase spell power, perhaps, in the epic levels. But we'll see what happens there. So just a quick high-level look at some of the stuff that's going to be in the patch, perhaps as soon as tomorrow, but certainly by early next week. We've fixed an issue where the Warlock's Pact die could be dispelled. This is mostly bug fixes, by the way, for the patch. We got rid of the thing where it was saying evade over monsters when they were saving from a spell or effect. It's going to say save now. That was to prevent confusion. Champion chests can no longer spawn in public areas. Sorry, we had an awesome screenshot this week on that. Always some fixes in with Enlightened Spirit, fixing Shield and the Displacement SLA, the description of the Displacement SLA. In Tainted Scholar, we're lowering the sound of the Eldritch Chain Blast so it's not quite so loud. We're putting the proper saving throw on Stunning Blast. Tainted Scholar toggle feats will give their correct spell power. Let's see, we increase the duration of the Great Old Ones, create Thrall, fix Burning Blood, and fix an issue with enemies moving into Ivard's Black Tentacles AoE zone after the initial cast. So that's the current target list for the patch. There may be a couple of things added or perhaps even removed, but that's the general idea. It's basically a handful of bug fixes, mostly related to Warlock here. So, and yes, Titan, the Burning Blood SLA does not work. It will. That's one of the main drivers of this patch, actually. So. Cool. How we doing? Are we about ready to get in here? Looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, looks like we're good. We have a question from Russell C. Feedback from guildies is that DDO changed the completionist feat to take away the feat retroactively if you already had it. A first and pretty big change. It would have been nice to have communicated that beforehand. Basically, some people are saying, hey, what happened to my completionist? I can understand why you would say that. I would say that quote, losing completionist when a new class comes out is standard procedure. It's what's happened since we've had the completionist feat whenever we've introduced a new class. Now granted, we've only introduced a couple, right? Druid and Artificer. So, but it is expected behavior. Should we have announced that? Sort of a reminder, hey, for those of you who are new or haven't been around for a class update, this is going to reset your completionist feat. You'll have to earn the Warlock and then you can take it again. That's good feedback and something we'll keep in mind for the next time we do a character class. Titan asks, don't we just want to add gnomes into the game? Sure. If it was like gnomes, they'd be here. But still, it's definitely a piece of feedback that we're well aware that folks would like to see. Actually, lower my volume just a smidge. I haven't heard of any plans to do a sword mage. Sorry. Any plans to create a race master feat that's like completionist only with all the races? Oscar581 asks. Interesting idea. I am not aware of any plans to do that. You know, part of the completionist feat works with the TR mechanism. There's no, quote, requirement that you play every race in order to earn it. But it's an interesting idea. I'm not quite sure how we deal with iconics in that situation. But, it's an idea. It's a really interesting idea. I just don't know of any plans to do it.
Is this the Stormreach marketplace? You hear the sounds of pillage and slaughter.
You know, in a similar vein, regarding the, hey, why didn't we let people know about it? That is why we sort of made a post on the forums and sort of drove some social media traffic to it in regard to the reincarnation triple class thing. So right now, for example, if you were a monk fighter rogue, because why not? And you wanted to use a plus something LR into a warlock. That doesn't work that way right now, because our reincarnation process remembers all of your classes during the level up process. So it would be like, well, you already have a fighter, a rogue, and a... what did I just say? Paladin, whatever. And now you're trying to add warlock, that would make it 4 classes, so you can't do that. So the process to do that if you're triple class is to essentially do 2 reincarnations. One to swap out one of your probably lowest level triple class, and then replace that in a second try with the warlock. And that's something that is again been the way it's been for a very long time. But you know, since we have new people sort of coming into this TR cycle and class cycle and all the rest with the warlock, you know, some people just want to maybe use a plus 20 or whatever to make a higher level heroic warlock, for example. They can now do that. But it is a point of confusion. Ideally, you know, our reincarnation process would perhaps be able to take that into account. The reason on a technical side why it's not done is because it would open up some possibilities without, frankly, more complicated work to sort of take advantage to get around alignment restrictions and stuff on classes. So you could say be a, I don't know what, Barbarian, whatever. Can't think of 2 classes that are symmetrically opposite right now while fighting bearded devil troopers on Elite Chronoscope, but you know what I'm talking about. It's interesting that Warlock is charisma and intelligence based. Primarily charisma based. I guess I'm not quite sure in what way they are intelligent based. Is that an enhancement thing? Maybe? I don't know. You tell me. Yeah, there we go. Bard, Paladin, Monk. So what we would have to do is not only code sort of a system that would remember or only check sort of the 4 classes, or the 3 class restriction at the end, but then also would sort of be able to organically sort of deal with alignment restrictions and that throughout the process. And frankly, it's just a lot of work. It'd be a lot of development time. It would carry with it not inconsiderable cost, and so, you know, for the most part, knowing how to use the reincarnation system and dealing with triple classes has, better or worse, sort of been the operating procedure. Although, you know, we certainly do understand that it can be frustrating, particularly for people who first encounter it. So. So are you digging your Warlock? I have to say, I am digging mine. It's actually funny. I guess it was Saturday afternoon. I was over on Atlantis, just earning some XP, and I ran a chronoscope run, and I was playing my cleric at the time, and I was in a group with me, a rogue, and 10 warlocks. It was pretty funny. It was very blasty in there. It was a lot of fun, though. It was kind of awesome. And frankly, we steamrolled our way through it quite well. So yes, we know there apparently a lot of you are playing warlocks. You know, we don't really get into numbers and figures and all that sort of thing, but at least in this first week here, the Warlock sure seems to be of interest to the DDO community, shall we say. So, good signs there, and hopefully that's a reflection of us, you know, doing a pretty good job on bringing out the Warlock, and you know, we'll see iterations and changes and tweaking of it, you know, once based on real life or real game scenarios, you know, in the coming updates. So. Okie dokie. That was a noisy fawn run. I bet it was. Yeah, you know, one of the other bigger issues, and I did mention it in the release notes here, or when I just talked about the release notes, is we are lowering the volume of the Eldritch Chain Blast. It's just too loud. Technically, the issue is that it isn't different from the regular blast, or a sort of chain lightning effect, but since it's being done over and over again with an Eldritch Blast, the discrepancy in volume is far more pronounced. So from what I understand, we basically just took the slider down quite a bit on it. We also need to do that for the Mimic Creature Companions. You are correct, Titan. And there's a couple other things as well where maybe the volume is a little off. And these tend to be individual files. Sometimes maybe it's a short file that got equalized poorly. Sometimes it's a thing where the same effect is being broadcast in 2 channels when it should only be in 1, so it has the effect of essentially doubling the volume. If you lay a 0 decibel file over a 0 decibel file, you get like a 3 or a 6 decibel file. So that's how it works. Legend asks, can we unnerf champions? You mean basically make them stronger like they were when they debuted last December, January? The overwhelming feedback from the community was to not do that. That they wanted us to tone it down, you know. I know that it's not a unanimous piece of feedback, though. You know, there are some folks, perhaps even myself included, that thought champions were perfectly fine at their challenge level. But ultimately, we are a game with a community, and you know, we want to respond to the feedback we get. So if that feedback is, hey, you know, we need to do something about champions, that's sort of the decision we had to make, right? It's not always an easy decision to make, but I know one other thing we're working on here, related to Warlocks, is that if you've been playing your Warlock a lot, you'll know that, like, trying to coordinate the Eldritch Blast with the hotbars, activated abilities, sometimes takes a little, let's say, more accurate timing than you maybe see in other character classes, and that's something we're working to adjust as well. We're going to be sort of tweaking some of the timing and animations on the window, essentially, to activate abilities and have them queue up, to be a more fluid experience that's more in line with what you're used to maybe with some other classes. The advantage, frankly, of the system as it is it allows for very accurate sort of gameplay. But the disadvantage of it is that it requires accurate gameplay. And so some folks who are a little more button mashy sort of have been giving us feedback that it's been hard to maybe queue up attacks as you'd like or prefer. And so we're responding to that feedback. I don't think that's going to be in the patch, though. I think that's probably going to have to wait till update 27. Just because we have to, we made the changes after we did our patch build. But you're seeing that right now, where I'm Eldritch Blasting. I need to kind of wait for that ability to, or my Eldritch Blast attack chain to sort of cut, let go of the button, and then spam the, or hit the activated ability I want. And I'm going to switch to my cone attack. AoE damage for the win. Oh, my t-shirt? I can show you my t-shirt just a little bit. It's a shirt from a group called The Residents. They're one of my favorite sort of experimental rock kind of bands. They're a little hard to describe. They're weird. If you like weird, you'll love The Residents. And I like weird. So, anyway, they're one of their more iconic images is they've been an anonymous band basically since the 70s. They wear like masks over their heads and all that. They were really one of the kind of first to do that. And they're still around. Probably had some member changes over the years, but since they're all wearing masks, how would you know? But at least they say the lead singer is absolutely the same guy in that. And I've seen him in concert a bunch. But, oh no, come on. I wish I had a way to shed aggro here. Blood plate's gonna kill me. Oh. But anyway, it's a Residents t-shirt. And I picked it up when I saw him a couple of years ago for the, I can't remember which tour. It was one of their spoken word tours, kind of a storytelling tour. And they were at the Brattle Theatre in Cambridge, and it was awesome. I also picked up, at that same show, a commemorative coin, which is something that more bands need to do. I don't know if you can actually see this. Oh, the Wonder of Weird tour, that's what it is. So. Is the Cone Blast shape getting bigger in the patch or smaller? I don't know if it's in for the patch. Did I just talk about that? Let me double check. No, it's not in the patch, but the intention is to have it more... Right now, it actually has a wider range than the effects display would have you believe. So we're going to try to work to get those sort of more in line. And that again will probably be update 27. Well, that was a good effort anyway. Dun, bum, ba, wow. Well, why don't we give that a try again, and we can probably tear through it on Elite, huh? Or tear through it on Hard, I mean. I like weird music. You know, some of my favorite bands are Can, Captain Beefheart and his Magic Band, The Residents, Frank Zappa. I like experimental music in general, like weird kind of crazy instrumentality and everything. I listen to all sorts of weird stuff. Always have been into that. I love trucker albums from the 70s. I don't know, I like all sorts of weird things. What can I say? Yeah, just the way I am. So, Goblin, although they're not really that weird, in my mind. So Titan asked a question that I was just talking with Severlin a little bit about before the live stream, which is, does it take too long for the cone shape to activate? There is a wind-up animation. It should be approximately a tenth of a second to charge, and then I believe the attack chain itself is 0.7, zero point 0.6, and 0.6 seconds. I think that's how it goes. So in regard to the, quote, delay that you're saying, it's probably what you're seeing is either a combination of waiting for an active ability to go on cooldown and then switching back into the Eldritch Blast, or maybe not. Maybe there's something more going on. But there shouldn't be a specific overly long delay there. If there is, then... Hey, someone must still be in the chronoscope, huh? Alright, we can just go back in. It's fine. Yeah, I would think maybe hard as well, just because if we're getting pwned by Bloodplate, we got another couple of encounters yet, so... And as far as I know, at least, I believe some of the reasoning for that initial activation delay was a way to prevent twitching. And that's sort of a long-standing DDO thing that we've had to sort of deal with. Skunk City asks, does Extend affect Enlightened Spirit Aura Blast? I believe the answer is no. I'll need to double check that, but I believe the answer is no. Any plans on when the Ranger Pass will be? Barbafisser asks. Not exactly, but I know it's on our short-term agenda, so I'm going to say if we're just going to throw out a target that may or may not be fluid, I would say update 27, update 28, probably. We'll see. Something like that. Any word on what's going to be the next class that gets an enhancement update? Might well be the Ranger. I know we've already put some stuff out there publicly about Deepwood Stalker, so that's being worked on. So whether that becomes the first, or whether perhaps something else goes first instead, kind of hard to say, but could be, could well be. Welcome. What is the most Caneth crafted shard? Oh, unfortunately, I don't know what the actual data on that shows. If I were to hazard a guess... Masterful craftsmanship? Maybe? Underwater action. Invulnerability for low-level armor. One of those. That'd be my guess. But I could be right. Frankly, Acid Blast was super duper powerful for a while, so everyone was using Acid Blast. Anyway, let me get up on the shirt here. It's the residence. Yeah. So. Yeah. Oh, Featherfall might be another one. Yeah. I see. I'm thinking Masterful Craftsmanship, just because it's something that's going to be applied to a whole wide swath of crafted gear. Oh, Peter 823 says Shards of Potential. That's probably it. At the very least, what the +6 Shards of Potential. The very first couple of tiers are going to be super popular. Yes, I am aware of that feature involving Shards of Potential and a certain favor that it's no longer possible. Used to be able to use trap parts as crafting ingredients. And that's why we have so many high-level crafters in the game. Diet soda is evil? Yeah. Yeah, I should cover the logo or whatever, but whatever. I drink pop. Other people do too. My choice to drink Diet Coke should not be seen as an endorsement by Turbine, Warner Brothers, or its various entities of a particular soft drink. And I know diet's bad for you, but so is calories in general. I've been trying to cut my calories, and I want to give up Coke. It has just a little bit of caffeine, not so much as a cup of coffee. What can I say? Yes, J. Renarin asks, concerning the Eldritch chain shape, is there any way to make it chain off breakables when you target them? That's something we're working on. We took a look at that recently, and I'm not sure if they got it fixed or if they're going to fix it, or I know that's something we're going to try to fix, but I don't know its current status of fixiness. So. But yes, having the Eldritch Chain Blast work on breakables is absolutely something that we're planning to make happen, if at all feasible, which it should be. I don't know why it wouldn't, but then again, we have things like gigantic crowns over giants and giant hold, and that was related to the Eldritch Blast aura. Go figure. Speaking of weird halo effects that sometimes crop up, we expanded the Eldritch aura just to be a little more visually wide and to sort of more closely align with what the AoE radius was. And when we did that, somehow it made all the giant, like if you're a giant NPC, giant-sized NPC, so particularly in the giant hold, it made their crowns and stuff super big. I have no idea why, but that should be fixed fairly soon too. Alan Y asks, will anything be done to even out the damage between a pure ranged ranger and a moncture? Basically he says, I want my ranger to be a ranger, and I don't want to feel like he's basically getting, he doesn't want, quote, want to be forced to be a moncture. For a long time, it's a good question. For a long time, you know, monctures were, if not the most powerful class in the game, and certainly up there. They're still extremely powerful, but I think that some people would argue that, you know, there are alternatives now that might mitigate that somewhat. But the question is not so much, you know, is the moncture too powerful, as can we make our ranger potentially too powerful too? And the answer is we need to be very careful about power creep. You know, some people would say we're not careful enough on that. But it's something that we absolutely do need to keep in mind when we're doing things. So, but I think the answer in general is going to be yes. You know, we recognize that the ability to play a 100% ranged ranger, if that is the build you're going for, you might in many cases, be frankly better off going Monksure or some other splash rather than, quote, pure as a ranger. And thematically, there's a good argument to be made that, hey, a pure ranger should be the best at ranged, right? It's right there in the name. So, to the extent that we respond to that and make sure that we put like pure ranged ranger builds into their desired sort of power range, yeah. I mean, at the very least, I do think we're going to see Ranger get more powerful with the enhancement pass, at the very least. And just the addition of more ranged power and things like that. Whether we sort of say, okay, now is this more powerful than the Monksure? I don't know that needs to be an overriding focus, although clearly it has to be a focus, because if it's not as powerful as a Monksure, then are we ultimately releasing a Ranger revamp where people decide that they just want to stay with their monks anyway? And that's something we need to be cognizant of. So I don't think that there's a quick, easy answer, or maybe some kind of flippant, yes, we will. But I will say that it's absolutely something we are aware of, and will be as part of the big picture when we look at what we want to do with Ranger and, frankly, all of our class revamps going forward. Because if we get into a situation where all of a sudden we we look at the theoretical most powerful build in the game and then lift everything up to that power level, well then, one, it's kind of a game of whack-a-mole that never ends. But the other thing is then you it comes with its own problems, because something's always going to, situationally, based on the content you put out, that sort of thing, perhaps be a particularly strong choice at that time in the game's life. And if we worry too much about chasing that sort of top-tier power goal, then you just open up a whole bunch of design problems, and you frankly rarely, if ever, win. I guess it's as flippant as I can be about it. But that said, we absolutely, we don't want pure ranged rangers to be like, oh, let's come on bad at ranged. That's no good either, right? So hopefully that provided a little insight. I don't have a clear answer other than to say, yes, it is absolutely the case that when we do the Ranger enhancement update, at the very least, Rangers should be getting more powerful. Hopefully that'll bring them more in line with your expectation of where you feel they should be damage-wise. And we'll have to see. Except don't nerf monks. And that is a thing, right? Because we've had that situationally happen quite a bit. Think about Divine Grace, that may or may not have to be scaled back at some point. Holy Sword, for example. The whole kind of Monksure Wisdom bonus to armor class that causes our sort of massive monk splash that we see in the game. And there's also an argument to be made that we see, in the community, that splash monks are really powerful, but maybe a pure monk in particular could use a power boost itself. So I don't know if that's an invalid concern either, Overall, though, monks are in a pretty darn good place. So I think when we look at priorities, perhaps we need to prioritize some other work before we would get to pure monks. Just kind of speaking out loud here, things could always change, but that's what I would think in general our plan would be. Yeah, we have, but see, the thing is, it's like if it's like nerf monk earth stance, nerf this, well then it's a nerf, right? And nerfs tend to make people feel bad, and we try not to make people feel bad. And then also we need to be cognizant of, well, is the monk sure that powerful right now compared to X, Y, or Z? And if not, well then maybe we should let it be. I don't know. Love to hear your feedback on it. But I don't think that we have any plans to, quote, nerf the monk. Unless we would really feel that we'd have to. And I don't know that we feel that right now. Any news on what's after the Ranger Pass? I know that we have a plan to work on some Favored Soul stuff. I know that there's a keen interest on some people in the DDO team to work on Artificer a little bit. Another enhancement tree at the very least. There's been some talk about whether or not we should do another kind of Harper-style tree. I don't know that we have a absolute concrete plans, but I would say short term we're going to be working on Ranger, Favored Soul, perhaps Artificer. I think those are the big three we're targeting right now. And then of course tweaking Warlock. Those still may be a little work to do on Rogues. Maybe a little more tweaking on Barbarians. Although Barbarians are pretty strong right now. But yeah, sounds good. Let's focus on the Smiths first.
High atop a platform in the bank lobby, tiefling armorers nail metal plates directly onto a huge devil. It sees you and bellows, "This bank is closed! Leave or your lives will be withdrawn!"
Fire suggests basically a pure class you should get a feat if you are pure. That increases maybe traps, assassinate DCs, that kind of thing. Oh, where's the... Cool. I'm going to see about an activated. No, that's the same basic timing on the cone shape as it is for the blast. Doesn't seem particularly longer to me. But if your experience is different, let me know. I mean, this is just me trying it right now. But it should be... as opposed to... No, it's the same timing. Maybe a fraction of a second longer, but I don't know. Epic turning. Oh, you know what though? What's interesting about that? I was playing in a group just the other day with a turning spect cleric who was level 25. And that guy was destroying undead left and right. I was like, wow, I didn't really realize... I mean, I know clearly if you invest in it and everything, but frankly, I'd never seen... I don't know if I've ever seen a cleric turn that well. My cleric sure as heck haven't. It was pretty cool to see. It was quite nice. Any news on when Lamania will be open? No concrete date other than to say that it'll be for Update 27, and Update 27 is still targeting July. It's now June 24th, so soon. I'm going to hazard a guess within a couple of weeks. But ultimately it'll be released when we have a build of Update 27 that is in a state that we want to get particular feedback on something, most likely the quests, and perhaps even the raid. And so within probably a couple of weeks, that's what I'd say. It's a rough timeline. I can't remember which, yeah, Divine Disciple, there you go. Someone asked how you get a Sunbolt on a cleric. Full stroke, it's alright. Yeah, I mean, we have made some efforts to, like I say, we don't, people often ask us, or ask the developers in particular, well, what do you want me to do? What is your design goal, so to speak? Do you want people to be multi-classed or pure-classed? And the answer is whatever you prefer. We don't specifically want either to be the one choice that everybody needs to do, or else you've made the wrong choice. So, but it clearly is a balancing act, you know, and frankly, it's a balancing act with 3.5, right? Because in 3.5, there were I think the general consensus is that there were very clear advantages to multi-classing in 3.5 over pure classing. And I think what we're seeing here is, in-game, is somewhat of a reflection of that. But that said, you know, it should not be that, and frankly, I know this isn't the case because I pure classes quite a bit. Pure classes also have their advantages. But whether or not we could or should do more to encourage pure classing, or maybe provide some benefit to a pure class character to counter whatever perception there might be that multi-class is favored, something to consider. You know, so that's why we brought out the class capstone enhancements, or the capstone feats, rather. But you know, some people argue that maybe they're not strong enough, or not strong enough in every case, or what have you. And that's, you know, perfectly valid feedback. I mean, one of the reasons, for example, of Armor Up was to help counter the typical in-game decision-making, which is evasion is God. You know, I have to do evasion, which means I have to splash monk, quote, 2 levels of monk or rogue or something. And so some pure class characters felt that that was, you know, a real disadvantage. I mean, try playing a cleric without evasion and playing one with evasion, and you will see a big difference, I assure you. But with Armor Up and PRR and MRR, we've really, I think, leveled the playing field in many ways, to the extent that some people have actually suggested that, you know, those things are more important than evasion nowadays. Now, I don't know that I have a personal belief on that, or certainly I can't speak for the DDO team on that. But it is absolutely something that to kind of provide some insight as to what our thinking process is. So. Cranky asks about the new quests listed in the compendium. Are the levels correct? Level 13? Yes. On the heroic version, it'll be level 13. Epic should be cap. I believe it's 30. 28 to 30, but I think it's 30. Oops. Why do I always do that? I think I would remember someday. So yeah, I mean, you know, things could change, but that is the current plan, is level 13 on heroic, so 13, 14, 15, and then I believe 30, 31, 32 on epic.
Only hours ago, Devil Legions moved through the steam tunnels in an attempt to flank the 12. At least some of them are still here. You see a grotesque Orthon captain below, sporting a large repeating crossbow on his arm.
Clerics can jump. Not really, not very well. At least my clerics couldn't. I mean, it's a cross-class skill, so you're investing fairly highly in your jump. Although, you know, any class, given the willingness to invest, can get up to 15 jump and then either use jump potions or a spell to get yourself up to the current physical cap on jumping. Which is, if I recall correctly, still 36, right? 36 is the cap on jump. I mean, technically you can take more than that, but it doesn't really make a difference. Does anything affect blast speed? No. that is deliberately independent. Will it someday in the future is a good question. I think there is a case that could be made that we could, find ways to increase the blast speed. But I think particularly since we were debuting the class with this sort of, I guess if you would call it, new mechanic, we want to be careful because we knew that live gameplay tends to trump testing when it comes to what things can and can't do, how strong they are, how strong they're not. There are combinations and things that people will discover that. So it's important, basically, not to be careful in increasing the creep of that. So increasing the attack speed was I believe, a deliberate choice to not impact that at the moment. But that is also something that we could very well do if we needed to tweak things. So. Will the new quest be as hard as Temple of Elemental Evil Epic Elite? I think the general philosophy going forward is Epic Elite should be tough. And whatever that means. I don't know. It's always really hard, especially at this stage of the game. Is X as tough as Y? Well, I don't know. Things like exact tweaking of monster statting and balancing tends to be fairly late in the process. And that's just the reality of game development. I heard someone say in regard to Call of Duty at E3 last week that, if you looked at the next Call of Duty today, you'd go, oh my god, how's this game ever going to get released? What a disaster. And that's just the reality of game development. A month before they ship, the game's going to look so much different and play so much different that you tend to have to papercraft some of this stuff ahead of time. Using knowledge and history generally as your best guide for creating challenging content. But that said, there's always some tweaking that has to be done fairly late in the process. Do we want it to be tough? Yes. We do want Epic Elite to be challenged. We don't want it to necessarily be the default faceplant your way through the quest method of playing the game. That just... Yes. Oh, we are working on that animation thing as well, where it's firing up. We don't have a fix for it yet, but it's on our radar. Faster blasting on epic levels is needed, Banshee Kate says. Thanks for the feedback. That's the kind of thing we're going to be looking at. Crinky says, 13, 14, 15, I'd rather it be 10, 11, 12. I think you may be right that we do have a little bit less content in the 10 to 12 range. But I think for various reasons, this was the right place for the Archon content. Peter823 asks, has a decision been made regarding the level experience required to Epic Reincarnate, rather, once the level cap is increased to 30? No. But you can expect that in the same way you need to both be capped and have a certain amount of Destiny XP today. You're going to most likely need to be capped and have a certain amount of Destiny XP when the level cap is 30. Now, whether that means we actually make a change regarding the amount of X... Alright, who guessed Grease? So I don't think it's settled yet. But at the very least, you can expect that you're going to need to hit level 30 before you epic reincarnate when the level cap is 30. Bad for You wants his smoke and fire and a creature companion. That would be cool. I don't know though. You'd be talking about adding sort of animation and lighting to a creature companion, which might have a mild performance impact on your client. I don't know. Maybe. Anything's possible, I guess. Hipperin wants marriage into DDO. You know, ever since we added the rings to Stormreaver Fresco, I've wanted to have some kind of wedding chapel or something in the game. We have had in-game weddings. I mean, I've seen the screenshots. People have sent them forward to the team and put them on the forums and such. So we do have in-game weddings, but it would be kind of neat. Oh, like you could summon your married partner? That's not how it works, is it? Honey, I'm busy. I'm in the middle of a raid. Can you cast elemental weapons on a flame turret? I don't know. Has anyone ever tried that? I'd be curious to know what the answer to that is. Never tried.
A mystical doorway floats against the east wall of the tavern. Whoever created it may be powerful enough.
Barberfisser is having an issue with the DDO store. There's an error processing your request. Do you know... Well, first off, I would say get in touch with our support team, support.turbine.com. They can assist you in a way that trying to verbally help you on a live stream would be more difficult. We are looking into some access issues to the DDO store today, particularly involving our Steam client. So if that's you, that may be what's going on. If it's a consistent thing, like you've never been able to use the store, that's different than if you have not been able to use the store, let's say today, or something like that. So that would be a good piece of information to know as well. Will Destinies ever go from 5 ranks to 10? Probably not. Someone wants Tiefling and Nasamir? That would be cool. Will there be more dragons added to the game? Titan asks. Probably. One can assume that with Dungeons & Dragons Online, there will be dragons. You'd have to have in-game divorces as well. Yeah, see, that could be a problem, couldn't it? Yep.
You have rescued a considerable number of Stormreach defenders. Their presence will make a critical difference in the battles to come.
Oh, yeah. Someone wants to point out a little Easter egg here. Vela, in her non-dragon form. Famous last words. The Vault of Night is not in any danger except for people using it for lots of XP. Yeah. Oh, Banshee Kate says, intelligence is related to spellcraft, and that increases power of the Warlock Blast, as I understand it. Yeah. For the associated element.
You have decimated the Devil's Flying Legions. Only a few Abishai stragglers remain.
Good to hear, Cranky, on a good customer service experience. Dragons of the Monster Manual? That's an awesome idea. We should totally do that. So, Zalturiz says there are 16 level 10 quests, 17 11, 11 12. Compared, there are 11 13 quests, 9 level 14 quests, and 10 level 15 quests. So therefore, there are technically more quests per level at 10, 11, and 12 than at 13, 14, 15. Very interesting. I suspect that that may well have been part of the decision-making process that our devs ran through. So, yeah, there you go. She'd get half your stuff in game. There's some customer service action we do not want to get involved in. Yeah. Cranky says, a first character on a server should get 1 astral shard upon creation, because you can't sell stuff on the auction without shards. I believe that's the intent, that you need to invest into the astral shard economy in order to sell things with astral shards. Clerics perform weddings, favored souls perform divorces. That's pretty hilarious. I know assassins take care of the divorce aspect. Oh, jeez, you people. Alright, what do you think? Are we going to do the last 12 there? Alright. That's true, you can get an astral diamond from daily rolls. Well, I don't think you can do that anymore, right? But there are technically, I think, ways. You could get one from the monster manual. That's how you could do it. You can get some astral shards from completing the first couple of monster manuals that came out, and then you could use that to sell in the auction house. And yes, of course I love you guys, Blue Queen. Alright, so let's see, I brought up the patch, I brought up the bonus, I brought up sort of asking people about how warlocks are going, we talked about some of the changes, we talked about reaffirmed update 27 is set for July. I did have a question the other day as well, is there going to be an update 29 this year? You know, typically we do 4 updates a year, and update 26 and 27 are coming a monthish apart. So there's a question of like, well, does that mean there's still an update 29? Yes. Yes, we are still planning to release update 27 in July, update 28 in the nebulous fallish, and update 29 towards the end of the year like we usually do. As for what that content is, a little early to say, but you can be assured that at least one of them is going to be Epic Shroud and a new Epic content pack in the Veil of Twilight. Titan asks, am I liking the streams recently? Yeah, I've been a little busy to check in on some of the streams, particularly on weekends. Sorry, Bonnie. Sorry, Moosey. Sorry, Pikers Anonymous. But, yeah. Stream's been going good, and I think we have 2 new streams that'll be coming. One is perhaps as soon as Sunday on kind of a soft launch. But I know someone is going to be playing a kind of an arcane-focused live stream that's being planned. Tokaru87 says, we may have answered this already, joining late. When is the first patch hitting for update 26? Could be as soon as tomorrow morning. We'll know more probably around 3:30, 4 o'clock Eastern today. What about the, quote, Maybar replacement? We had a conversation about that just this week as well. We've got some solid ideas as to what that might be. We'll talk more about it as we get closer to it. Crystal Cove is coming back. As a matter of fact, you know what? Let me see. One might say Crystal Cove has something to do with Independence Day and may last for approximately July 2nd through the 13th.
You have turned the tide of battle, thinning the devil.
How's that for a hint? But yes, Crystal Cove's coming soon. So soon, in fact, it could be next week. Yeah.
The devil magics around the market tent have finally reached their peak.
Cool.
Whatever they are trying to do, it is happening now.
Skunk City asks, how is Warlock going to function in Smuggler's Rest as it's a public area? That's a very good question. I'm going to have to make sure that that's working. But my understanding is that... That's a very good question. I'm going to have to ask. Ooh, Scorched Bracers? I will take that. Alright, very cool. Thanks for running with me. Later on this afternoon, I will get you guys a Turbine Point code in the mail, just to the characters here that I've screen grabbed. So,
This is how history recorded the end of the devil invasion on Stormwatch. Death and destruction across the marketplace, and the complete annihilation of the old market tent.
but the answer is it should work, right? If it doesn't work, that's a bug. Hipperin asks, I want to know this as well. What do you want to know about as well? Oh, okay. Tinnertaz asks, is there going to be, quote, a big problem with Windows 10? We have not officially supported Windows 10 currently, but I can tell you anecdotally that players who have been in the Windows 10 beta have had no problems playing DDO nor installing DDO. There have been a few reports of people who have run into a minor installation issues similar to what some people on Windows 8.1 have experienced, where the Microsoft C++ downloadable needs to be updated. But other than that, all indications are that Windows 10 should work pretty well for DDO. Now, I do want to clarify, though, that that is not should not be read as a statement of officially supporting Windows 10. That is just me saying I've read people on the forums who are in the Windows 10 beta said, yep, worked great. So. Well, Civic Spoon asks, I hope it's, quote, dealt with soon in regard to Windows 10. I mean, it's important to remember that we have never officially, in terms of, say, legalese, supported Windows 8. So, and people have been playing DDO on Windows 8 for, what, a couple of years now. It may well be that we don't officially say, and by that I mean, min-spec requirements at DDO.com say, yes, we run on Windows 10, but all indications are we run on Windows 10. And if we don't, then that's clearly going to be something we're going to have to look into. Have we tested it at Turbine? I have not personally, but we do have a game platform team that looks into that kind of thing, and they have, yes. Yes, this is the first time Crystal Cove's going to have multiple trade-ins, right? On those map pieces. That's going to be great. Oh, very cool. All right. and that's going to do it with the Weekly Wednesday Lunchtime Livestream. Stick around. I'll be giving some turbine points away in our chat room over on twitch.tv/DDO stream. Join us every Wednesday starting at noon Eastern, currently -4 GMT, over on twitch.tv/DDO stream. You can also find our entire schedule on that website. We do post these videos to YouTube later in the day as well, and we try to get caught up on all the shows throughout the week. Usually a couple times a week I set aside a couple hours to process video to YouTube. And we're looking forward to getting you information on that patch very soon. Thank you very much for joining me, and we will see you again soon. Have fun.